SciFinder-n References Search. This tutorial covers how to find references to published literature using the SciFinder database. So here on the main page of SciFinder, I need to enter my search terms. If you've ever taken any of the library's training sessions before, you'll know that we talk a lot about choosing keywords in order to search effectively. Now, the nice thing about SciFinder is that it's very user-friendly in the way that you phrase your search. So it's fairly safe to put in things like questions or even maybe a sentence because SciFinder will do most of the work for you in pulling out the most important words that you have used and then building a search out of them. I'm going to go ahead and do nanoparticles for drug delivery to cancer tumors. You can see here across the top of the page that there are different sections of SciFinder where my results are available. And if you scroll down, what you'll see is just a few results from each section. So we have reactions, we have references, and so on, which reflects the labels up here. For this video, I'm only interested in doing the references. So I will click that and I will be in a reference-specific searching portion of SciFinder. When I'm looking at the references, basically I'm looking at published literature of chemical research. So primarily things that came from scholarly or academic journals. Also patent records are included in here. But the different sections of SciFinder are very closely linked to one another. So of course it's easy to move to a different section from this menu bar, but you will also see as I go through this that you can move to different sections and different types of material even by looking at, for example, an individual article reference. So we got more than 21,000 results, and that's quite a lot. So let's talk about how we can use the filters here on the left side of the page to sharpen up our results. First of all, under document type, for this assignment, you really want to focus only on the things that came from journals. You're not going to want to see, for example, the things that were patent records, even though those are things that might interest professional researchers, say, out in industry. Your assignment also talks about the difference between a review and an original research article. Because literature reviews are really common, they do show up here as a filter. So if you wanted to, you could say, only give me the things that are literature reviews. Or if you didn't want to see them at all, there is an option to exclude them from your search. So you choose that exclude option, then pick review. But for the purpose of my demonstration, I'm actually just going to leave them alone, and we will deal only with articles that came from journals. There's also a publication year limit, meaning the date that your article was published. So I will put a 10-year time limit on it. You can choose any range you like. There's a variety of languages represented here, but most of them are in English. You can explore the other ones if you want to. There's a few others down here that might be interesting to you. The primary one I would point out is concept. These can be useful if you want to try to limit a large search, say, by a broad kind of subject area. But again, I won't use it for this demonstration, and I will just leave these here for you to explore on your own. All right, now that I've filtered my initial result set a little bit, how do I navigate this list of results I have in front of me? This is called a brief result list. Brief because I'm getting a little bit about each item in my result set. I have the title of the article here at the top. I have the author's names, a little bit about the journal that it came from, and a snippet of a summary of the article itself. You can always get more information about an article by clicking on its title, but rather than show you this first one, I'm going to jump to a specific example that has a lot of supplementary information attached to it, so I can show you that as an example. All right, let's check out this one. There's a lot of things going on this full record page. So let me start by scrolling down. Here up at the top, again, I have the title of the article. I have the authors' names. There's a lot of authors here, so it's been shortened a little bit, but I can see the whole list by toggling that menu. I also have the DOI and then the summary of the article, also called the abstract, just quickly summarizing for me what's going on in this article. As I continue scrolling down, here I have the publication information. So this is the citation, basically, what you would need in order to generate a citation for your paper. Source here has the first part is the title of the journal. I have the volume and the issue number, and then the page numbers. Remember, I mentioned that the authors are up at the top of the page. They are not listed here. As we go down, we have some other things that might help us. Concepts are terms that CAS, SciFinder, has assigned to this particular article in order to describe its topics. And these are examples, the ones that are highlighted here are things that SciFinder has looked for me, hoping to help me out with my search. So although I did use the word cancer in my search, and here it found it, that's why it's highlighted, it also was looking at the word neoplasm, which is sort of a more scientific term for that concept. As I keep scrolling down, you'll see here substances. This is something you might want to pay attention to. We will be covering substance searching in a different part of this tutorial. But here, SciFinder has broken out any chemical substances that are mentioned in this article. And by clicking on any of their numbers, these are chemical registry numbers, I can jump to the information about that substance and find things like its physical properties. So, as I mentioned, all of the portions of SciFinder are really tightly intertwined, so it's easy to move between a reference to a piece of literature or a substance. Also, underneath the substances there, we have reactions. So just like this listed any particular chemical substances mentioned in the article, it will also mention any specific chemical reactions that are discussed in this article. And again, you can click into any of those in order to get more information about them. All right, returning to our article information page, there's one last section down here labeled Cited Documents. So this is everything that this article included in their list of works cited. So their bibliography at the end of the article, they had cited 67 items in their own research. And once again, if I want to explore any of those, I can click into them. Now there is another item up at the very, very top of this page that's related to that. That's this one. If you mouse over it, it'll say get citations for this reference. So that list of cited works at the bottom was everything that the authors put in their bibliography. But this is going forward in time. Since this article was published, all of these folks have cited that article in their bibliographies. Now, why would you care about that? Because hopefully they're doing similar kinds of research. So if you were looking for additional information that was related to that original article, this might help you out. One last thing I want to point out about the information about the article. I already mentioned that the authors are listed up here at the top, but I want to point out that the order in which they are listed matters. The first author on the list is also called the lead author. They are assumed to be, well, most likely someone who directed the research, was responsible for organizing, but at a minimum they are usually the contact for any questions about the research, and you may sometimes find their contact information actually included here. So we have all of this information about the article, but so far we don't actually have the article itself. How do I get my hands on a copy of the actual article? Well, here, if I scroll down below my summary, there's a button that says full text. So there will be some different options unfolding under that full text button, but the one you want is search for full text from Fowle Library. Fowle Library subscribes to an awful lot of journals on behalf of the whole campus, so that, not everyone has to pay for them one by one. And what clicking on that button does is it loops you into our system called OneSearch, which will tell you whether we have access to that article or don't. And in this case it said, yes, that article is available online at the American Chemical Society Journal's website, where we have a subscription. And clicking into it, then it has taken me directly to that article. I can go ahead and read it just here on the page, but I always advise students, if you like the article at all, get the PDF. So here I have an option to open the PDF, and what I would recommend you do is download the PDF, save it wherever you like to save things, right? Wherever that is, if it's on your local drive, on a cloud drive, whatever, keep it. It's yours to hang on to as long as you want, and if you end up not using it, it's fine. All you have to do is delete it, but saving it will spare you the frustration of trying to find it again after you can't remember the details about it. So if you like it, always save the PDF. So let's go back to our brief list of results and choose a different article. I've jumped a little further down the list so that I can show you the search for full text for this item. And in this case it tells me the CSUSB libraries do not have a copy of this item, but I still have two options. The first option is this one, check for a free version in Google Scholar. You never know, there might be one out there, and in the case of scientific research, chances are fairly high that you'll be able to find a free version of the article, because there's a rule which says that any research which is supported with public money, such as government grants, which fund an awful lot of scientific research, any results from that research must be made freely available to the public that funded them. So it's well worth looking. But in this case, I'm not seeing any link to the actual file itself. Let me click into the title here and see if we can tell more. If I choose to read this article, it tells me that I would have to pay for it. I would have to buy it for $104. Okay, no, we are not doing this. If you are asked to pay for articles on the internet, don't. You would get right out of that. You would go back to OneSearch and choose the second option. Please sign in to see request options and place requests. I'll need to sign in with my Coyote ID. And now that I have signed in, I see an option which was not there before, request a digital copy. So all I really have to do is click through this and send the request. So I'm not going to do it because I don't actually want this article, but what happens? So when I click send, I get a confirmation message. And as soon as we're able to get a copy of that article from another library that has access to it, we will send you an email message to your official CSUSB email, and it will say, hey, your article has arrived. Here's the link. Go get it and download it. Typically, we can get those within 24 hours in the case of an article, and that service is free for all CSUSB students, faculty, and staff.